Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 25th, 2025 meeting of the Condominium Review Board. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting of the Condominium Review Board will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of these procedures as soon as possible after the meeting on the City of Somerville website and local cable access government channels. So, Maureen, can you do the roll call?
Okay. Chair Zasloff. Chair Zasloff. Chair Zasloff is absent. Vice Chair Byrne.
Here.
Board Member Simeon.
Present.
And Board Member Solis.
Here.
And Vice Chair Byrne, can you confirm that you'll be acting as chair for tonight's meeting?
Oh, yes, I will be acting as chair of tonight's meeting.
All right, great. Okay, so with 3 in attendance, we have a quorum.
Okay, so then this meeting comes to order. Just one small thing on our agenda. We don't have the June 2025 minutes on our agenda this time. We'll see them next month, okay? So the first thing on our agenda then is the February 2025 minutes. I'm asking if any of the board members have any corrections or concerns about those minutes.
Oh.
Okay, so I would suggest that we vote to accept those minutes.
Okay, this is a vote to accept the February 2025 meeting minutes. Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, then we're going to move right on into our new business, applications for final or courtesy permits. And the first one on our agenda is 5658 Oliver Street. It's the application of 5658 Oliver Street Condominium Trust. Max Almazor seeking final conversion permit for Unit 2 at 5658 Oliver Street. Is there somebody present to talk about this?
Yes. One moment, and apologies. Just as a reminder to everyone, I'll be promoting people to panelists in order to turn folks' cameras on. So just give me one moment while I promote Mr. Farley.
Yes, I am Doug Farley. I am here. I don't know if Max is going to show up here tonight or not, but I am here.
Oh, Chair Byrne, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I said, welcome, Mr. Farley, and can you tell us about this application?
Yes, so we've gone through all of the whole process up till now, and the last piece was just the waiting period. And so August is the end of our waiting period, and so we're just looking for our final permit now.
Well, I'm going to open it to the board, see if there's any questions of board members.
No concern, no question.
Seeing no questions, I'm going to close that portion and open it up to public portion. You see any hands, Rena?
I don't see any hands.
And I think that we can take a vote on 5658 Oliver Street, the application of 5658 Oliver Street Condominium Trust. Max Almazor seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 2 at 5658 Oliver Street.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for unit number 2 at 56-58 Oliver Street. Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Vice Chair Simeon, or I'm sorry, Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Is that all you need from me?
That's all we need from you. We're all set.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys.
Yep, have a good night.
You too.
The next thing on our agenda is 232 Powder House Boulevard. Application from Michael and Anna Witham, seeking a final conversion permit for number 230 at 232 Powder House Boulevard. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Hi, I'm Michael Whittam. Yeah, my wife Anna and I are seeking final conversion for 230. We've submitted all our paperwork and we're awaiting the final waiting period, which has come up in the month of August.
Thank you very much. And then I'm going to open it up for the board in case you have any questions. Any board members have questions for Mr. Witham? Seeing no questions, I'm going to close that portion of the discussion and move to public. Are there any public comments?
I don't see any hands.
Then I'm going to close that and we can move to a vote on this. It's a vote on application of Michael and Anna Witham seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 230 at 232 Powder House Boulevard.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for units 230 at 230-232 Powder House Boulevard. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Witham. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
all. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay. The next on our agenda is 192 Washington Street, the application of 192 Washington Street, Somerville LLC. Jason Santana seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 192A and unit 192B, and a courtesy permit for unit 192C and unit 192R at 192 Washington Street. Is Mr. Santana, is someone here for him? Oh, there we go.
Hi everyone. So I'm Mariana. I work for Jason Santana from North America Development, and I'm here seeking for the final conversion permit for Unit A and B, 192 Washington Street, Unit A and B, and for the courtesy permit, Unit C and R.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to open it up for board discussion. Any board members have things to say or questions to ask? Okay. Seeing no questions, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Seeing anybody there?
I don't see any hands.
All right, then I'm going to close the public comment. So we're going to take a vote on the application of 192 Washington Street, Somerville LLC. Jason Santana seeking a final conversion permit, unit number 192A and 192B, courtesy permits for unit 192C and unit 192R at 192 Washington Street.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits and courtesy permits as just stated by Chair Byrne. Chair Byrne.
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Hey,
Thank you
thank you
very
very
much.
much. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Okay, take a look. The next thing on our agenda is 13 Langmaid Avenue. The application of 13 Langmaid Avenue LLC, John Lee, seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 1, unit number 2, and unit number 3 at 13 Langmaid Avenue.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm having some tech issues, which is why I'm not on screen right now. I apologize for that. But Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for 13 Langmaid Avenue, LLC of 13 Langmaid Avenue. My client is seeking a final conversion permit for units 1, 2, and 3 of this multifamily residence. The applicant received the preliminary permit in August of 2024. Property was vacant and it has remained vacant until this day. With the waiting period expired, we are going for the final permit. My client has submitted the remaining 2 items required by the board, which were a master deed and a property condition report. So now the board has a complete application. Thank you.
Then, I'm gonna open it up for, questions from the board. Are there any questions, other board members?
No question.
Okay, seeing as there's no questions and no comments, I'm gonna close that section and we can open the public section. Is there anybody in public comment?
I don't see any hands.
Then I'm gonna close that section and we can take a vote. And the vote is on application of 13 Langmaid Avenue LLC. Chan Lee seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 1, unit number 2, and unit number 3 at 13 Langmaid Avenue.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for units 1, 2, and 3 at 13 Langmaid Avenue. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes, sorry.
The motion passes.
All right. Thank you very much. On to the next application. It is 13 Sargent Avenue. It's an application of Jesse Grogan, Timothy Armstrong, Lindsay DeFries Luck, and they're seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 2 at 13 Sargent Avenue. Is there someone here to speak?
Hi, I'm here to speak. Can you guys hear and see me okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Attorney Cameron
Great, thank you.
Attorney Cameron McGinn here, on behalf of Jesse Grogan, Timothy Armstrong, and Lindsay Luque for the property located at 13 Sargent Avenue in Somerville. We have a final conversion permit for unit 1, and we are seeking a final conversion permit for unit 2. Now, the notice period for unit 2 expires on April 15th, 2026. However, the tenants have vacated. They always intended to vacate at the end of July, is my understanding. So we provided for the board for your review an acknowledgement signed by the tenants. In the acknowledgement, they are stating that they are aware that they could stay until April 15th, 2026, but they are knowingly and voluntarily waiving that waiting period, and they have vacated the unit. They also have decided to waive the relocation payment. They are aware that the relocation payment is $7,546.28, which could increase at the end of the waiting period. Nevertheless, they have voluntarily waived it and signed the acknowledgement stating as much. They also acknowledge that they could speak with the Condominium Review Board directly with any questions and do have the option to seek independent legal counsel should they choose. With that provided, we ask the board to consider issuing a final permit.
Great, thank you very much. So I'm going to open it up for discussion. Are there any comments or questions from the board members? Okay, seeing none there, I'm going to close that section and open it up to public comment. Have anybody, Marina?
I don't have anybody.
Okay. And let's go forward with a vote on this. This is an application of Jesse Grogan, Timothy Armstrong, and Lindsay K seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 2 at 13 Sargent Avenue.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permit for unit 2 at 13 Sargent Avenue. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. I'm actually going to see you in just a moment for my next one.
All right, well, the next one we have on our agenda is 36 Burnside Avenue. It's an application, Frederick Bartholomew and Cecil Bartholomew seeking a final conversion permit for unit 1, 2, and unit 3 at 36 Burnside Avenue. Is that the one you're speaking to?
It is, yes. Just to restate my name for the record, this is Attorney Cameron McGinn, and I represent Frederick and Cecile Bartholomew for their final conversion permit for units 1, 2, and 3 at 36 Burnside Avenue. The 1-year notice period has expired. The entire property is vacant, and so is subject to the 1-year notice period, which, as I stated, has passed. We've submitted to the board the engineer's report and the draft master deed, and we therefore ask for a final permit for all 3 units.
Thank you for that. I'm going to open it up for the board for comments and questions. Anyone have anything? Not seeing any hands for comments or questions. I'm going to close this section and open public comment.
I don't see any hands.
Going to close that section, and this will now be a vote for the application of Frederick Bartholomew and Cecil Bartholomew seeking a final conversion permit. Unit number 1, 2, and unit number 3 at 36 Burnside Avenue.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for units 1, 2, and 3 at 36 Burnside Avenue. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McGinn.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Okay, so the next application from 5555557 Somerville Avenue. It's an application of Somerville Avenue Holding 555 LLC, David Shepherd, seeking a final conversion permit for unit number 1, unit number 2, and unit number 3, 555 557 Somerville Avenue. Is there someone here to speak to this?
Yes, Mark Sheehan of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for Somerville Ave Holdings, 555 LLC of 555 through 557 Somerville Avenue. My client is seeking a final conversion permit for units 1, 2, and 3 of this multifamily residence. My client has submitted the remaining 2 items required by the board, which were a master deed and a property condition report. So now the board has a complete application. Thank you.
Okay, at that point, I'm going to open this up for questions and comments from the board members. Okay, no questions, so I'm going to close that portion and open it up to public comment.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, then. All right, then let's take a vote on the application of Somerville Ave Holdings 555 LLC, David Shepherd, seeking a final conversion permit for 1, 2, and unit number 3, 555 557 Somerville Avenue.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for units 1, 2, and 3 at 555-557 Somerville Avenue. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Right. Thank you very much. And now we come to the next portion of tonight, preliminary condominium conversion permits. And the first one that we have on our plate is for 333 Highland Avenue, application of Van Wang, Mark Wagner, seeking a preliminary non-rental conversion permit. Unit number 1A, unit number 1B, unit number 2, unit number 3 at 333 Highland Avenue. Is there someone here to speak to this?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is Fan Wang. I'm the applicant. This is currently a house we purchased on June 26, 2025. And when we purchased it, all the tenants vacated the property. So right now we applied to apply for the preliminary non-rental conversion permit. Currently, the house is vacant. We may have a tenant in the just after the application when we are in the waiting period. We plan to do a full renovation of the house.
So let's, I'm going to open this up for board members to ask questions and make comments if you care.
Sure, thank you. Feel free to ask.
So can you just do a brief review of how many, and I know this is in the form, but how many units existed when you purchased, the timeline of the tenants being out, and then how many units is going to be, and sort of when you anticipate having tenants again?
Sure. This house has 4 units. It's a unit 1A, 1B, unit 2, and unit 3. 1 and 1B are 1A is a studio apartment, 1B is a 1-bedroom apartment, and unit 2 and 3 they are 2 bedrooms each. So the tenants I only dealt with a realtor because the previous owner she's a senior citizen and she lived very far away, and the listing realtor provided all the previous tenants' contact information. So I reached out to them, informed them our intention to do condo conversion. They, I believe, the staff of the board also reached out to them. So they have lived there. I believe some maybe for a year, some maybe for a couple of years, that was a situation. And for us, we purchased the house vacant, it's a very dated house, so we plan to do a full renovation. And in the meantime, perhaps before the condo conversion getting approved, we may rent it as just a say half a year type of rentals to people.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Wing. Morena, could you just like confirm for me what the ordinance provides as far as like having tenants while it's being converted? Just
So applicants are permitted to have new rentals while a conversion is taking place. So once a preliminary permit is issued, then an applicant can rent to a new tenant as long as they notify any incoming tenants of the conversion taking place prior to the lease being signed. So if they notify the tenants prior to the lease being signed and the tenants sign an acknowledgement of that information, then the tenants are not protected under the ordinance. If an applicant doesn't notify tenants prior to the signing of the lease, then sort of everything resets. Those tenants have the protections of the ordinance.
We will definitely fully inform all the potential new tenants, make sure they fully aware of the condo conversion ordinance of Somerville.
great. And just, and I think I'm allowed to say this, but just anything you can get in writing of that notification to send over to the condo board just helps when it comes up later on down the line, you know, just like an email, or if you send anything certified, it will just help us feel good about the fact that we know that you notified them. The question I just have is, as far as the timeline, just so can you just, what's the date of the P&S and what's the date that the previous tenants were out?
P&S was signed sometime maybe I couldn't recall, but I think it's like sometime March, because since the previous owner was a senior citizen, she needed time actually to close the transaction, and we purchased the property finally on June 26th. So it took us a little bit, just around 3 months, I would say, to to finalize everything. And the tenants, I think when the property was on the market, the previous owner already made it clear to them that they may have to leave because usually people do not inherited tenants of the previous owner. So by the time we got to the transaction, and then we thought it's perhaps better to just to have a vacant building delivered to us than have the complication of having previous tenants that we actually do not know. So they were notified by the listing realtor.
Excuse me, let me see if I'm correct. I heard you said the owner asked the tenant that you may have to leave prior to what?
I think that when the owner, the previous owner, put the property on the market,
Okay.
all the leases were month to month. Actually, I'm actually not sure if they have leases, but the tenants were month to month. They do not have a like a final like a term lease. So during this purchase process, they were notified that they need to move out, and they did. I believe the listing realtor said they, I think some tenants moved out in April and some moved out in May.
Is that a way to provide a copy of that lease? Because you said it was month to month. And we don't know exactly if this is correct.
I do not have those lease agreement, and the listing realtor also said he does not have the lease agreement. But the listing realtor had all the contact emails, telephone number of all the former tenants that has been provided to the condo board's staff. And I've reached out to them. I think the condo board staff also reached out to them, letting them know that the units are being converted. We have not heard anything in objection of this application.
It's still not clear enough because we don't really know the situation of those previous tenant, because the owner is saying that you may have to leave. It's like I don't know.
Is there like a
that's strong
communication?
note. That's a strong note.
Because I believe at that time it was really optional whether they stay or they continue to reside there.
Sorry, I think the concern here is that tenants were still living in the building as it was being sold. And then they were not afforded any relocation money or any effort to help them out. They were just told that they had to leave. So I think that all of us on the board are very concerned about these kinds of issues because our role is to provide protection for tenants and keep from having tenants displaced from Somerville. So this is what our concern coming as a board.
I have an additional, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kate.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I have an additional, if we can sort of let that sit for a minute, just so Ms. Fang knows where, Ms. Wang, I'm sorry, knows where we're coming from with those questions. The question I have is just because there was, and I mean, it's normal for it to take time, but there was sort of the P&S in March, and then like one tenant vacated in March, you think, and another wasn't until June, and then the final sale was in June. What did anything take place on your end to get the house ready for conversion or look into the conversion process or what that would take of the building from March until June, or?
No, we didn't do anything. We didn't look into condo conversion. I told the tenants. I was told by the listing realtor that I think some tenant moved out in April, and all of them moved out by May.
By May, okay. Okay, so there wasn't there weren't any activities on your end, sort of reviewing the property, because I know you said you're going to like rehab it. You're going to be doing a lot to the. I don't think you used the word rehab, but you're going to be doing some, you know, construction, some development there. There wasn't any sort of review of the, you know, footprint of the house or any review of, you know, surveying or anything to like investigate the potential cost or the potential ability for the house to be turned into to be condoized before the final close.
No.
Okay.
We were evaluating for renovation, so that was just whether we do a condo conversion or we keep it as a rental. But we just thought that the house really need a renovation. Just given it doesn't have a washer and dryer, just things were quite dated. The doors were not even closing properly. Windows were having gaps. There were a lot of windows that they were actually sealed with foams. Just a winterization.
So just when would you say the decision was made to go to develop them into condos?
We were just thinking it needed renovation, but the condo conversion really came after we purchased it. We just thought that maybe if we do full renovation, we may just better off have an option to actually separate the units.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, when do you think that, when did you come to that determination?
In July. August, actually, I started looking into this in early August. And also, I actually had a newborn baby in May. So things were quite hectic on our end in our family.
Congratulations. Yeah, I think that's all I have for questions on my end. Sorry, the cat is not starving to death. If you hear that, it's just vying for more treats. So sorry about that.
Like in my background, there may be a baby crying. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I'm hungry.
So if there's no more questions from the, I'm going to close this section and open it for.
Oh, sorry, Kate, you cut out.
I said I'm going to open it for public comment.
Okay.
Do you see hands in the public?
I do. Let me just. Ms. Lau, you've been unmuted. Or I've got a number of raised hands.
There are a number of raised hands. Could you tell me how many raised hands you see?
We have 3 raised hands.
If
4. Another
okay.
one.
Yeah. If the public could keep the comments to about 3 minutes each, and then give the chance they come back and talk with the public. Is that agree to that?
Yep. Ms. Lau, you've been unmuted, and I'll set a timer, and I'll let you know sort of when your time ends.
Sure. Can everyone hear me? I don't think my camera's on, so I don't know.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, well, I apologize for not having my camera on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Lau. I'm a former tenant at 333 Highland, Unit 2. I want to call your attention to the letter that Morena was super nice to include in the board packet that details the timeline and sale of this property, which clearly has a couple of inaccuracies from what I've heard from Ms. Wong's speech. So I know, being respectful of people's time, I'm not going to read the full letter to you all, but essentially, as Ms. Wong admitted, that the PNS was actually signed in March while all of the units were occupied by long-term tenants, including myself, So we were told on March 25th, and again, all of this is in the packet. On March 25th, we received an email from our seller, from our landlord, saying that she has sold a property and we needed to vacate because this was demanded of her by Ms. Wong and Mr. Wagner, the new owners. This was really distressing for us, but we were cooperative during the whole sales process and moved out. What we found later, as soon as we sort of put everything together, was that we believe the owners and the seller in this case really colluded to evict all of the tenants out, which is in violation of the Somerville ordinance and really makes a mockery of like all these tenant protection rights that are out there to protect us. So in my letter, I detailed the timeline and the communication, and I want to call out, and again, it sounds like March, as Ms. Wong admitted, and in our email confirmation, it shows that that was when the owners and sellers agreed to deliver the units vacant and evict us. And on May 2nd, in the email chain, the buyers, so Ms. Wong had a land surveyor come and take exterior measurements. They spent over an hour at the property. This is not typical for a multifamily purchase, but a required step for a condo conversion planning. Later, between May 9th to 19th, we also supported a number of inspection for the fire department and to check on the carbon monoxide detectors and make sure all the smoke detectors were working. Again, we were all still tenants here and the sale had not been finalized yet. So this is another coordinated inspection that is required for condo conversion. From the looks of it, I mean, it seems very clear that the intent to convert this very old, dilapidated building that we've lived in for like over a decade was established very early, as soon as March, while we were all tenants. Another thing is just, I'm speaking off the cuff here. I think we're all Somerville residents. We're all aware of interest rates and just how sale prices are. And again, Ms. Wong and her partner, they're not first-time home buyers. They've actually converted or are in the process of converting 5 properties in the Somerville and Cambridge area. And one by one, all of them were purchased, delivered vacant so that they could convert to condos. And I have those addresses listed in the letter that I included. So just to summarize all of this, I think, you don't buy a $2 million house without a plan, especially for these established, developed, sophisticated buyers as Ms. Wong herself. And also the owner, our previous landlord was a judge, so everyone was certainly in the know. They hired, their listing agent was the managing director at Compass Real Estate. They were very careful in all their communications to us, and you can see that in the email chain. So
your time is
thank you. And I just want to conclude by asking that the board reject their application because we weren't allotted our relocation rights and notices. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna unmute the next hand that I see.
Marina, sorry to interrupt, but before Miss Lorenz speaks, I noticed Miss Wang's hands up, and I do have a couple follow-up questions on the top of my mind for the last speaker. So could you just advise the group sort of the order that this will go? Because I know we have 3 more speakers, and there probably are going to be things that both Miss Wang and board members want to respond to or ask of each speaker. So like just sort of what's the best flow for this so we all aren't on I don't want anyone to think they're not going to be heard or given another chance to speak.
Yeah. I just based off memory from how the board has handled it in the past, and obviously this it all depends on how you all want to handle it. Generally, from my memory, the board has taken all of the tenant comment at once before allowing an applicant to speak again. I mean, whether you want to take questions between tenant speakers, you all have handled it, either taking people sort of as a lump and then doing questions at the end, or have done it in between each speaker. You've done it both ways. But generally you take all the tenants sort of together at once and then allow the applicant to speak again once tenants have had their chance to speak.
Okay,
Thank you, Marina.
yeah.
That's what I was going to suggest, is that we do it in that way. And I really thing that I want to avoid in this conversation is a back and forth between the tenants and the owner. See it that go back. So I'd like to continue on with the tenants and hear what they have to say, and then we'll go back to Ms. Wang and offer her the same timing for the tenants.
Okay, thanks, Kate. And just as chair tonight, for questions that we have,
Yep.
board members, do you want us to hold them to after all three as well? You're nodding. Okay, that's perfect. I
Yes.
just wanted to.
I would prefer that we hold all the questions until everybody's been able
Perfect.
to at least speak once. Okay, so
Makes
maybe
sense.
if after the tenants speak, if we have questions, we can ask the tenants. Did the owner do that? And then back and let Ms. Wang speak again. And then I'm going to.
Great. Okay, thanks. So yeah, I just, jot down some notes if people have some questions.
Good. Okay, so Ms. Lorenz, you can go ahead and talk.
Thank you. I'm Carolyn Lorenz. I'm a former tenant at 333 Highland Ave. The application lists my tenancy as starting September 1st, 2024, but that's very false. 333 Highland is actually the place where I've lived the longest, longer than any of my childhood homes. I was 25 when I moved in, and I was almost 40 when I moved out. I'm a public school teacher, and I taught at the same high school that the former owner and our landlord, Lois Tanzer, that her father and her uncles attended. Her grandmother passed away in the bedroom that was mine. I don't think I was supposed to overhear that, but for a while I thought it was haunted. My best friend lived 3 houses away, and we were regulars at Highland Kitchen down the street. My partner, who lived with me for several years, was an artist. He had a studio in Somerville. I worked at Magpie, the shop in Davis and Porter Square. My band performed at Porch Fest several times. I've been to every laundromat in a 3-mile radius because, as Ms. Wang said, there's no laundry there. I walked my dog everywhere. Multiple business owners know him by name, but not me. I hired a 12-year-old kid that I met on the bike path to be my dog walker after school. I have followed my hairstylist around 3 different Somerville salons. I actually have an appointment tomorrow. And I'm telling you all this because my connections to the area were countless. So I want people to understand that what we lost is a lot more than the privilege of renting an apartment with high ceilings. What I lost is worth a lot more than the $7,500 relocation payment that nobody wants to give me. And when I lost all these ties to the community, that's exactly what Somerville's ordinance is meant to preserve. And the landlord, Lois, told me when I moved in that she valued long-term tenants. She showed us this with her actions. When I moved in, there was a woman, Pat, on the first floor who was there for 25 years, and she only left to go into elderly housing. So Lois never would have made us leave. And as far as I know, she never terminated anyone's agreement. She wouldn't have made us leave unless the buyers required it. And she said so in a letter to us that the buyers required the house be vacant at closing. And as far as I'm aware, it just seems really unfair that she would have had to jump through so many hoops in order to convert her home to condos, but these new owners can just sashay in and do so immediately. And they're acting on the application as if no current tenants were displaced and therefore we deserve no protections. But the only reason we aren't the current tenants is because they insisted we not be, and they made our eviction part of their deal to buy it. And if the facts and timeline that Joanne Lau laid out in her letter aren't clear-cut proof enough that their intent formed before the sale, I mean, that's really funny to me to think that my 11th grade students form their intention to go to college when they submit their applications and not in the years beforehand. So I would like to ask the board to make the new owners show you proof and show you with their actions that they had any other intention besides condo conversion from the very moment they saw the house listed. So let them show you with their actions. Let them show you that they had a different plan. They can be landlords and they can rent out 3 units to postdocs and artists and maybe a teacher. But if they don't give us the relocation payments and they don't recognize us as tenants that they displaced, they're making a mockery of the city's ordinance. And therefore, I would ask you to deny their application until they comply. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lorenz.
Okay. Ms. Belair, you've been unmuted. Ms. Belair. I'll give her a chance to come back and we'll go to the next hand. Miss Ellis, you've been unmuted.
Hi there, I'm Leah. I was a tenant of 1A. I too lived there for 4 years. It was the longest I've ever lived anywhere outside of my parents' house. I'm nowhere near as eloquent as Joanne or Caroline. But I'd like to add on to the evidence that Joanne has compiled that the previous landlord Lois, either knew or should have known about the impending condo conversion. And it wasn't just the fact that we had to be evicted or the inspections that we allow these inspectors into our home to do. And we definitely have firsthand evidence and knowledge of what happened there between the time the eviction came into play and between the time we were told to be evicted and the time we left. But also, I think another piece of evidence that's I'd like to put on the record for the fact that Lois either knew or ought to have known is that the purchase price was above asking. So, you know, I really enjoyed living in the house as Caroline and Joanne did. And I actually tried to buy it myself so that we could all live there and enjoy the lifestyle that we had in that house. But if you do the math, you can see that the sale price actually doesn't make sense for the market price for 2 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedroom homes. The sales price only makes sense if you were to turn this into condos. So I think it's very hard to imagine that the intent to form condos, especially given that FAN has transformed many homes into condos and likely many more after this one, I find it very difficult to believe that that intent was formed only after the purchase and sale. I'd also like to point out that FAN said on record just now in the meeting that she formed the intent in August, and that is not true. We got the notice in late July, in fact, mid-July, and this isn't the first time FAN has misrepresented things under oath. So in her application letters, as you may have seen, she signed under penalty of perjury that our tenancy dates that our tenancy each started on September 2024, which is, I think, a mockery given how long many of us have lived here, and also a mockery given how our previous landlord valued our long-term tenancy. She also signed under penalty of perjury that she had complied with the ordinance and given us certified notice of the intent to convert to condos, which she had not done. So Caroline and others did not receive any notice, and it was in fact me that had to alert them to the fact that this condo board hearing was happening. So I would just like to point out the many inconsistencies and the abundant proof that the intent to form a condo was made before the time of our eviction. I believe that we as tenants have been run roughshod over, and I believe that you as a condo board would be run roughshod over if you allow this conversion to happen without remediation to the tenants as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Okay. Miss Belair, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I would like to reinforce everything that Joanne, Leah, and especially Caroline have said. I have been a resident of Somerville an accumulated 26 years. I have lived at this address, 333 Highland Avenue, the longest out of all of my Somerville addresses. I have been in Spring Hill for almost all of that time, except for a brief stint in Union Square and in Winter Hill. I've had been living at 333 Highland Avenue for 11 years when this sale was first happening. Lois was kind enough to send me an email while I was traveling abroad. And it was the most frightening experience to realize that I might not have a home when I returned from my trip. Luckily, I had time to make arrangements after I got back, and as I've been learning, as I learned after the fact that a lot of the dealings that were happening were not in our favor and not in accordance with Somerville ordinances. Somerville has been my home and it's a beloved city for me. And I can't even tell you how deep the emotion cuts to have to lose someplace that was my sanctuary. And frankly, I don't know what else to say because I'm filled with rage and filled with disappointment. And I can't add anything else other than the facts that were laid out by Joanne and as restated by Leah. But I'm chiming in with my emotion because I think it's really important for the board to hear this. So I really thank you all for the time that you're giving us, Chairman Byrne and Board Member Simeon and Board Member Solis, and especially Morena. I just want to thank you for this. And I am saying in the most strong words, the most strong emotion that I can, deny this claim. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna open it up for the board to speak to and question the tenants as you may. I want to start off by just saying how intensely sorry I am, but the tenants have had to go through, and I really appreciated to making sure that we side of the story. I think that was really, and you know, we're going to have more. There's going to be more conversation about this. So, Board Member Solis.
Thank you, Vice Chair Byrne. So yes, I echo what Vice Chair Byrne is saying. There's a lot of emotions involved, and then on Mrs. Fang's side with her family and a newborn and buying a home and going through a conversion process, there's a lot. There's a lot of emotional investment as well as financial investment, and so. What I'm trying to do is, so there's like the spirit of the law, which is making me say like, this is not supposed to happen like this. We're avoiding displacement. And then there's the letter of the law. So, which is basically what can we use to uphold the ordinance and see if it applies in this case. And it's like, so I just have a couple questions that sort of get a little bit at that. And it's not because I'm not feeling emotional. I love Somerville. I am holding on to my rental here in Spring Hill while, there are conversions around me. And we've been really lucky with those who have converted being great neighbors and everything. But it is, there's a lot of emotions for everyone. So I recognize that. I think my question is, the main question I have is, we've talked a lot about like, should Lois have known? And as she's not on the call and she's not the applicant, I'm not saying that we can't hold Lois in some way. I don't know how that would work, but since we're dealing with the current owners, Miss Fang here, Miss Wang and Fan Wang, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna keep bringing the F from your first name over to your last name, and I greatly apologize for that. With Miss Wang, I think there are some references to inspections and surveying. And so when I look at the ordinance, the sort of legal argument that I think would have teeth in the ordinance would be some of the things that have been misrepresented. And I don't know how weighted those are, but I think we've got a couple of those. But I'm really curious about the inspections and the surveying, because there have been certain cases when that type of activity is like sort of leaning towards expressed intent or formed intent. And then sometimes there's inspections that just happen when you buy a house, regardless if it's a single, multi condos and what the plan is. So I just would like to hear whoever of the group feels like they have the most details of the dates and what the inspections were. because to me, that's sort of what rises to the top for me to say, like, were these activities while tenants were there, activities by the new owner who's here with us tonight, forming intent for a condo conversion? Regardless of some other things that I think definitely make you think that, like purchase price and stuff. It's like you can sort of create a narrative for that, but real estate's so bonkers. The house next door to me just sold for almost 2 million, and it's a single family, and they were going to convert and they didn't. So like we see crazy stuff like that all the time. But I think the teeth would be, if you were really trying to make the case, would be if intent was formed through some of the inspections and surveying and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm curious about, if someone wants to share, and then I'll get off my long-windedness here.
Chair Byrne, Ms. Lau has her hands up, I think, to respond. Oh, you're on mute.
I was trying to not go back and forth. And I know Board Member Simeon had his hand up.
Yes, that is correct. But I don't know where to start. But however, what I heard is Mrs. Joanne, and we don't know exactly how long she's staying, and Caroline also. But I heard Mrs. Robin said 11 years. Is that correct? She stayed there. And Mrs. Ellis is 4 years. And then my question is go to Marina. Marina, I would like to know right now, what is the responsibility of the new owner on those things?
I'm sorry, on what things?
The new owner, faced to all those issues, all those complaining that all the tenants point out.
So the responsibility of the new owner would be dependent on when intent was formed to convert to condominiums. So the board would need to essentially to make a finding at tonight's meeting or a meeting in the future about whether or not the present owner formed intent while the tenants were still living in the property. And if that is the finding that the board makes, then the present owner would have to extend the protections that the ordinance provides. And then, if the board finds that she had not made an intent to convert while the tenants were still living there, then the requirement to have notified the tenants about this hearing, things like that, that's sort of the extent of her responsibilities.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Chair Byrne, you're muted.
I'm trying to keep so quiet over here. Go to the next tenant. Joanne Lau was she has her hand up.
Oh, yes, so I just wanted to respond to some of the questions. Well, most recently in Exhibit E, I have a summary of all of our tenancy. So our tenancy ranges from 1 to 15 years, depending on the tenant. So that's all laid out in Exhibit E of what I submitted. And then I think there was a question about the dates of inspection. I have the email chain. So we were in close contact with the listing agent who told us when people were coming, how long they were coming, who were coming. So I've submitted that into evidence. On May 2nd, there certainly was a land surveyor that was there. And then the days from May 9th to 19th, there was a number of folks coming in related to fire department inspections, which is part of the application. I think the last thing I would say, in addition to these inspections, we have to look at the pattern of the investor. So Ms. Wong and her partner has purchased they're not first time home buyers. Every single property they've bought in the area has been converted into condos or in the process of being converted into condos. And some of you may recognize her application. So I think it's given this professional investor and the inspections that took place while we were tenants, I think the intent was certainly formed while we were all living there and were evicted.
Thank you. And Marina, to speak to the history of, I know I emailed you a bit, could you just remind me, because based on what the city records have, obviously I'm not asking about Cambridge because I don't have access to that, but could you just remind me the properties that I asked you about, what the results were? Sorry, I have limited, my laptop is not being my friend, so I'm on just my phone, so I can't pull up my email while I'm on this. I'm like in very rudimentary technology tonight, so apologies.
Yep.
Not to make you feel like an assistant and like ask you to check email for me. I just can't pull it up.
Yeah. So the 3 Somerville addresses that were submitted by Ms. Lau were 59 Linden Ave, 5 Lexington Ave, and 37-39 Harrison Street. So according to our records for 59 Linden Ave, both of the units were previously owner occupied before becoming condos, so they received non-rental conversion permits. 37-39 Harrison Street was also owner occupied prior to conversion. And then 5 Lexington Avenue, I'm not seeing them as condos. So there's no condo application there. I didn't see anything on the registry's website about a master deed being filed. And the applicants have owned the property since 2019. And then I did find a 311 complaint for snow removal in February 2025 from a person saying that they were a tenant at the property.
Okay, so it would likely look like out of those 3 Somerville properties, 2 were condoized, but were owner occupant, and then 1 appears by evidence maybe to be being rented. Okay, and all right, thank you. That's helpful. Just I think to just give some sort of evidence to just or not evidence one way or another, but just give some fact around some of those statements just being made about the previous condo development within the city of Miss Wang and her company or development group or whatnot. Okay, thank you for that. My question at this point, and I'm just going to say it, not that I think it needs to be answered at this point in time, but for what I've heard so far as a board member, I guess my question to the board and to Marina, maybe after Miss Wang speaks, would just be of the, the 2 things that sort of have raised a little bit of a flag for me, although we're certainly in the conversation part right now. I'm not saying I'm making any recommendation. I'm gathering information at this point. I am not aware of what specific land surveying or fire department inspections would be deemed evidentiary. I think I'm on a law show all of a sudden. I don't know what inspections would be like firmly accepted as fact, like those have to have been done because they're considering condos versus someone's buying a house and they just need these to get like a COO or whatever, what have you. So I don't have that knowledge, and that's going to hurt me in sort of making a recommendation because I don't know what the answer is. So at some point, if we could talk about that as a group, but I don't want to hold up the next speaker.
Okay. So let's have Ms. Wang come back, and you have 3 minutes to rebut what's been said, and then I do have a proposal. So.
Ms. Wang? Oh, you're muted
I
still.
hope you can hear me. Yeah, it's actually my first time. I was sorry that I was busy doing childcare. My newborn is only just 3 months old, barely.
Yeah.
So I actually dealt only with the listing agent, and the communication I provided to the former tenants were just given the emails and the contact that I had in hand. I reached out to them, and perhaps there was a say the days that I sent the notice. Perhaps I thought it's early August, but it was July 30th, so missed by a couple of days. Sorry that I was a bit overwhelmed and not paying attention to the specific dates. Apology for that. I think I hear that of course all the former tenants they spoke. I'm sorry that you felt that you were treated poorly by the previous owner and me and my partner as the new owner. I'm actually I deeply love Somerville as well. I back around, I lived there, and we own rental properties. But I do want to clarify that in between those, maybe now we are polarized. We see people as sitting on the different side of the table and we are against each other. It's not. I'm also a long-term resident of Somerville. Because of as a sellers or owners or residents, you perhaps we all have our own life and we all have so many things to take care of, whether it's babies, jobs, or whatever careers. It is actually just a fact that we are all humans. Nobody have those ill intention. I don't think the former owner was wrongly informing the tenants, try to manipulate us like new owners too. We are just humans. We sort of and also given there are so many people we are dealing with, there are always I guess lost the chain of information because the listing agent, he's also a very kind person. I don't think truthfully, he had a position of all the leasing agreements and those things he was not dealt with. And he informed us of things to the best of his knowledge. And we dealt with everything to the best of our knowledge. So I was told that he said that he believed that the tenants they were on more like a month-to-month type of agreement with the former owner of the house. And I reached out to all the former tenants, try to be specific, say on the condo conversion application, need to say what are the tenancy, like what are the days that you occupied, and nobody ever got back to us. And based on the conversation I had with the listing agent, I thought at least they had likely a year type of a tenancy, and that's how we put into the application. There is really no intention of create a misinformation. And I want
Ms. Wang, your time is up.
Oh, I still have not addressed the questions that the tenants raised specifically, especially about the smoke detector inspection, land surveys, and also ownership of multiple properties and the former
Ms.
conversion.
Wang, gave you 3 minutes like we did the tenants, so time is up. Want us to move this? And
I actually not aware that there's a 3 minutes time limit. May I just maybe use 1 or 2 minutes of your time, give a quick review of address those specific questions?
I'm sorry, we wanted to give you the same amount of time that the tenants, each tenant. That's what we've done. We gave you a lot of time to begin with, and we gave you 3 minutes to back tenants spoke. So I'd like to let's move on. And my understanding is that there are going to be some department discussions in my arena, that there will be some department discussions about this case. And so therefore, I think we can't, in a place where we cannot make a decision tonight, because we need to get more information from our legal experts and our housing division. So I am suggesting that we table this for tonight and bring it back again next month. I would invite tenants to please come back next month. And Ms. Wang, I would encourage you to think about how you help the tenants. And maybe it is you and the former owner getting together and figuring out how you can help the tenants, because they have been displaced from a long time. And I want you to know that all of the documents that the tenants have provided us are open for you to have access to them, so you can see all of that. And Marina will share that with you. So Marina.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm suggesting that we make to table this until next month. So do you want to say something about that?
Is there a way that we can request any further documentation between now and the next meeting to help make the decision?
Oh, I think that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, when we're going to talk with the law, we're going to talk with our legal folks and the housing folks. And yes, and anybody can put in more documentation, they can send it. I don't want to overburden you, Marina, no. But they can definitely send it to Marina to us.
If I may just ask Board Member Solis for clarification, are there specific documents that you are specifically looking for, so that I know to try to get those? Yeah.
Well, I think if Ms. Wang wanted to share proof that she had emailed with no response the tenants to get accurate information, that would sort of may speak to, intent or level of transparency. And then if I know because of time limits, Ms. Wang did not get to respond to what the types of inspections were, but if there was any documentation she wanted to provide on that, I don't know how illuminating that would be, but that would be something I would look at as well. And that would be for the timeline that was discussed of May 2nd and then May 9th to 19th. I would be curious what was being done in those time periods. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to us to vote on tabling this until next month.
Okay. This is a vote to table the application of 333 Highland Ave for preliminary, and I just realized that there's an error on the agenda. It says preliminary non-rental when they should be preliminary rentals. So I apologize for that. But so table the application of Fan Wang and Mark Wagner for preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1A, 1B, Unit 2, Unit 3 at 333 Highland Ave until the September Condo Review Board meeting. Chair Byrne.
Yes.
Board Member Simeon.
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you all. I know this was a really tough discussion tonight, and I look forward to having more information in the future. We're going to move on to the next application. Does anybody need a breather for a minute? Are we okay to go forward?
Let's just move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The next application is the application of 737 Somerville Ave LLC, James P. Douglas and Israel Bariso, manager seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for Unit 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permit for Unit 2 and Unit 3 at 737 Somerville Ave. Is there someone here to speak to that?
Attorney Spang, you've been unmuted. Attorney Spang?
All right, there it is. Do you guys have me now?
Yes.
All right, my apologies for that. My name is Matt Spang. I'm the attorney representing the 737 Somerville Ave LLC. Tonight, we are before the board with an application seeking one preliminary rental conversion permit for Unit 1 and two preliminary non-rental conversion permits for Units 2 and 3 at 737 Somerville Ave. The property is an existing two-family house, which is currently vacant. Unit 1 was occupied by a tenant who voluntarily vacated prior to May 31st of this year. Unit 2 was owner occupied and became vacant upon the conveyance to the applicant last month. And then Unit 3 is being added using a portion of the attic of Unit 2 and will be part existing space and part new construction. Enclosed, we have submitted to the board an application, copy certified check to the city of Somerville for $1,800, deed to the property, an MLC evidencing the residential exemption from the prior owner, and then an affidavit from the former tenant saying they voluntarily vacated, and then an affidavit from the seller stating that they occupied Unit 2. We also provided a paid final water bill and a certificate of good standing.
Thank you, Attorney Spang. I'm going to open this up for questions or comments from board members. Does anybody have questions or comments?
I'm just trying to think. 7-Eleven Somerville Ave is my Starbucks, my second home. What 737 is? I'm just trying to picture where it is. It's more towards Union or more towards Davis and Porter.
I got to be honest with you, I don't know which one.
It doesn't really matter. I'm just wondering. I don't have any questions. We have the signed affidavit, and you know, the seller. This one is a little more straightforward, I think. Yeah, no questions on my end.
Board Member Simeon?
No question.
Thank you. Then I'll close this section and open public comment. Is there anybody?
I don't see any hands.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to close the public section and we to vote on. So to vote on the application of 737 Somerville Ave LLC, James P. Douglas and Israel Bar Baraso, manager seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit number 1, a preliminary non-rental conversion permit, unit number 2, unit number 3, 737 Somerville Ave.
Okay, this is a vote for preliminary rental conversion permits for Units 1 and preliminary non-rental conversion permits for Unit 2 and 3 at 737 Somerville Ave. Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Sorry, yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, so
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
and these will be pending, but master deed and the property conditions, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Permits.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Next agenda item is 3436 Governor Winthrop Road. Application of 36 Governor Winthrop LLC. Milner Alexis seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit number 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion unit number 2, 3436 Governor Winthrop. Is there someone here to speak to that?
Yes, Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for 36 Governor Winthrop Road, LLC, of 34 through 36 Governor Winthrop Road. My client is seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for Unit 1 and a non-rental conversion permit for Unit 2 of this multifamily residence. The applicant purchased the property vacant in March of this year, and it has remained vacant. Prior to the vacancy, the former owner used Unit 1 for rental purposes, and Unit 2 was owner occupied. The former tenant moved out in January of this year to return home to London. We have submitted the application along with a paid final water bill, certificate of good standing, owner occupancy affidavit from the prior owner, proof of residential exemption, and a bank check payable to the city of Somerville for $1,200. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open this up for questions from board members. Questions or comments?
Okay, what I hear is that it's that one apartment is a rental one. That's the question. Is that the rental one is owner occupied and the other one is rental?
I apologize if I wasn't clear. So prior to the applicant's purchase, one of the units was used for rental, and the other unit was used for owner occupancy. But for as long as the applicant has owned the property, it has remained vacant. Yes, and the former tenant vacated in January of this year, before the property was even up for sale, and before he knew that there was going to be a condo conversion. He was returning home, so he voluntarily vacated at the expiration of his lease. And again, it had nothing to do with the condo conversion.
Okay.
All right. Since there are no other questions or concerns from the board, I'm going to close this section and open comment.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, then I'm going to close the public section and put this up for a vote. It's a vote on the application of 36 Governor Winthrop Road, LLC, owner Alexis seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit number 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permit for unit number 2 at 3436 Governor.
Okay, this is a vote for preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permits for unit 2 at 34-36 Governor Winthrop Road. Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
The motion passes.
That again, we'll need to have a master deed and a properties condition permanent. Okay. Next permit request is for 294 Lowell Street. Application of Yangqing Zhu seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit 1 and unit 2 at 294 Street.
Yes, Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for Yangqing Zhu of 294 Lowell Street. My client is seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for units 1 and 2 of this multifamily residence. The property has been vacant since June of this year. Prior to the vacancy, the former owner used the units for rental. We have submitted the application along with a paid final water bill, certificate of good standing, and a bank check payable to the city of Somerville for $1,200. Thank you.
I'm going to open it up for board conversation questions. Does anybody on the board have something to say? Board Member Tostolis.
Yep. So, Attorney Sheehan, can you just review the tenant? So the tenants moved out in June, you said?
That's correct.
Okay. And what communication has been done with them, and what was their lease situation and the timing and all of that?
Yeah, so as far as the communication, they were all notified of the hearing, of course, which was verified by Morena. And the lease situation, it was a month-to-month lease situation. So the lease expired, and the current owner of the property gave them some notice ahead of time that he was thinking about selling the property because it's no longer profitable for him. He's losing money on the property. So their leases expired. They were afforded plenty of time to find alternative arrangements, and that is where we left off.
Okay, so sorry, end of June, and that, so it was like a month to month, and end of the month they got out?
Yes, I believe they left at the end of June. Some of them might have left a little before that in Unit 2, but I can double check on that. But it was June regardless.
Okay, and when was the PNS?
The PNS for this was in August.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I just want to double check something.
Marina, do you need to make a comment? Give us a little advice?
No, I have a question for Attorney Sheehan. So you said that there's a PNS, so the property is being sold.
Yes, the property is being sold.
Okay. And do you know when that's going to close?
I believe they are closing in September.
Okay. So Mr. Zhu is sort of starting the conversion process for this new owner.
I believe so. And I believe the reason for that is because of the amendments to the ordinance, which will take effect in the future, especially with the 2-year notice period going into effect. So that is the primary motivation behind that.
Okay, thank you.
But the issue I have with that, and as the attorney said, it's like the rent is, no, she was or he or she was there on June 25th. June 25th. That means from June 25th to now, it's really a short one. Did they just leave because of that sales, or they have her, or they have them get away, or what is the status on that one? Because this is a June 25th, and we are in August now.
Yes. So I believe in November of last year, the property owner, the applicant, had a conversation with the tenants that, again, the property was no longer, they weren't making money on it, and they were going to sell it in the future. So they gave them, over 8 months to try to find alternative arrangements. And as I mentioned, it was a month-to-month lease, so they didn't have to do that, but they wanted to do that as a courtesy to the former tenants. So I know that the timeline from applying to when the tenants vacated is a short time frame, but there was discussion well before this, and they were aware of this eventually happening.
Is the conversation they have is like a verbal conversation, or is that a written conversation?
I'm not sure. I can check on that, but I was notified that they gave plenty of advance notice to the former tenants, and they gave the specific date.
Member Solis, do you want to come back on?
Yeah, I guess, sorry, I don't mean to have my hand still up, but I do want to come back on. Okay. I guess I'm just curious so it sounds like the seller knows that the buyer is going to turn it into condos. So they've had those conversations. So when did they decide together that they would eventually be converted?
Yeah, again, that I am not sure on because I'm not representing the seller on the sale of the property. I just know that there was a PNS in August. And I believe it would have been a situation likely where the buyer would have applied on their own and whenever they closed on the property. But just because of the changes to the ordinance that are coming, that is why. So I'm sure, it was not too long ago that the intent was formed because all of this is, fairly new.
And okay. I guess so. I have concerns with the timing just because also to add another layer, the owner went before the Historic Preservation Committee in June while he still had tenants to see if they could get approval to raise the, like, in my opinion, do construction for condos. That's my opinion. It's not saying that, it doesn't say in the HPC meeting notes, and I will review it again, but I don't think it says that it's for condos. It says that they're asking to raise the, the top. So my concern, and I'm not saying it's a determination or I have a fully formed my opinion, but like my nervousness is that all of this was sort of being done with an intent to sell them as potential condos, and that this intent was formed while the tenants were still there. And because I don't know I don't know when, like, your client and the seller started these conversations, and it's a little bit, to me, this is just, it brings up sort of all of that gray area, but the timing is really concerning for me that, if you already are selling the house, you're going to HPC to see if it's good for condos. And to me, that's intent. But maybe that's not what you're going to see. I don't know. But the timing of that was like mid-June while there were still tenants there. So I don't know if you have any more intel on the HPC stuff, Attorney Sheehan.
Yeah, I would just say on that I can understand your concerns on that, but going forward for that and looking into that information isn't exclusively for the goal of creating condos. So that's just all I would say to that.
So, well, comments, through with the comments here. A lot of concerns have been raised, and also, Attorney Sheehan, I heard you say a number of different times, I don't know that information. I have to get back to you with information to say about that. So I'm concerned about trying to go forward. That said, let me just open this up to, is there public comment?
I don't see any hands.
And I call on other board members to help figure out how we should manage this situation. Seems like there's a number of concerns that we have, and seems like there's information that's missing. Let's help out. I'm not ready for us to take a vote on this, I think. And if somebody can convince me that that's a bad idea, please do. But I feel right now like we have a number of concerns and other things that Attorney Sheehan has said to. So what's
I'm not sure. I have the notes up from the HPC. I'm just trying to scroll through just to see what it says because it's listed as demolish, but then it talks about just raising the top. So I'm just eyeballing them really quickly. But I mean, I don't know that it's going to be of any use for me to finish. I don't know. I feel like I'm just, I'm not sure. It's, we have the new timeline, so I understand the seller wanting to sort of kickstart the process, but that also brings us back to, when did he kickstart the process? So, and I'm just not sure.
If I could make a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So I can certainly understand the hesitation. The application we heard earlier tonight, where all of the tenants, former tenants, excuse me, were speaking against the application. You can certainly see the issues that are presented here. I think it's important to note on this application, there were no former tenants that spoke against this application. I also want to really emphasize the point that the seller, they were not getting paid rent for certain months. They were struggling financially with this property. And that was, the reason that they were selling the property. And in terms of the seller applying for this, like board member Solis said, it's really just kickstarting the process in the event that, the buyers would want to convert in the future. I think a lot of people are uncertain about what they want to do with property, but having the ability to do it and being able to bypass or not bypass, excuse me, have the 1 year notice period opposed to the 2 year would be a tremendous benefit for the buyer. So it's really more of a cautious approach and something that they're looking out for the future. But I always ask, and there are no definitive plans for any condo conversion, and that was said multiple times to me. So, and that's all I would say for this application.
Well, thank you for that, Attorney Sheehan. I just sort of made it complicated for me. Which means it'll be under the.
Sorry, I don't want to belabor this, but sorry, remind me, so it was just one tenant and they were month to month and they had notice since like November. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything, I'm a little bit like uncertain of whether, not to say I don't believe you, Attorney Sheehan, but I don't know if I believe your client, like that, that they weren't planning to like pitch it as condos or that they hadn't already like had the conversation. But other than like, I did just read through the notes of the HPC, like the before the vote, like it's just sort of like the agenda / presentation. It doesn't say that it's for condos. So like the only thing that I could do, I don't know if those meeting minutes, or I don't know if they were like recorded or on the website, if I listened to that and it said in it, like, we're asking you to review because we want to turn it into condos, like that would literally be the only thing that would probably make my vote be no, was if there was that. And I think Attorney Sheehan was there for the meeting. So I don't know that he'd be on the call saying that they weren't making condos if I could then listen to his client or him saying, yeah, we want to make condos. So I don't know. I feel like even though maybe there are some things that aren't like that we're a little nervous about it, I don't know that there's any letter of the law here being like not followed, but
And I would just
a minute, Attorney Sheehan, I want to ask Marina a question. In comment is that this is under the condo as it is right now. Is that correct?
Yes, I was just sending you a message to sort of clarify and to possibly give Attorney Sheehan a little bit of comfort or whatever, that should the board table the application or decide to issue a permit at a later date, the board can backdate it to tonight's meeting date, which would mean that the application would be under the current ordinance, which has a 1-year notice period, instead of any proposed amendments which have not been passed by the city council. But if they were passed, it would be a 2-year notice period on these units.
Thank you for that clarification. That was what I was thinking. That's really
Good idea.
I think Attorney Sheehan was going to say something maybe.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. To answer what you mentioned, Attorney Attorney Dash was.
Oh, it was okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and I do speak with him though, of course. And yes, there was no obviously explicit mention of anything, condo related at
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm fine with if people need more time, I'm fine with that. But I'm ready to vote actually on this one. But I'm fine with another month if people need time.
I find it frustrating to try to kick it down the road. At the same time, I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions and concerns. So
I don't want to rush you to make a decision if you're not ready, but I just want to, I think we're both thinking the same thing. So I just want to sort of say it, because if we can, so that we feel comfortable either another month or making a decision. But so the timing just smells funny, for lack of a better phrase, with the June and okay. Yeah. And what do we have from the tenant about, do we have something from the tenant saying like why they left and they were notified?
Rena, do you all what was the tenant gave a
I don't believe there's an affidavit from the tenant, and Attorney Sheehan can correct me if I'm wrong. But I did send her certified mail with the hearing notice, and I know that she received it because I talked to her on the phone twice since then. And her questions were to me were basically, they revolved around what the actual the plans were of the applicant for the use of the property. So she confirmed that she was told, I think she said last year that the property was going to be sold, and so that she would need to vacate. And then she was surprised to get the hearing notice because it's still her landlord. And so she was saying, well, he told me he was going to sell it, but now he's converting to condos, which is why I asked for that clarification about that PNS, because I wasn't aware that there was also a PNS. So her questions were revolving around, like, is he actually selling it or is he converting them to condos? And then she had questions about the historic preservation committee meeting also, which I believe last I checked it, a decision hadn't been made on that yet. So I sort of just answered the questions that she had.
Thank you. I'm going to that we tabled this also till next month, and that sounds like there's a few things that we collect more information on, particularly the historical preservation, but also having a little bit clearer communication from the tenant. So I'm going to propose that we table the application of Yang Zing Zhu seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for Unit 1 and 2, 294 Lowell Street.
Okay, this is a vote to table the application for preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 294 Lowell Street. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes, and can we change the vote to include that it would be retroactive, or do we not need to do that?
should a future permit be issued, you mean?
Yeah.
You wouldn't need to do that until
Okay.
you actually
Okay.
vote on a permit. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yes.
Okay.
We
Let
can
me,
table it.
for
Yeah.
cleanliness of the record, let me just do it one more time. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. So this is a vote to table the applications for preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 295 Lowell Street. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Shan.
Thank you. And if I could just make one comment, please.
Sure.
So if there's any requests for additional information, I'd be happy to speak to the applicant. They will be closing in September on the property, and then they will be going to China. So my communication with them it'll be extremely difficult. They've mentioned that to me. So if there's any requests, like I said, if it could be in the next few weeks or so, that would be great. I would appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Our last agenda item is 36 Everett Avenue. It's the application of 36 Everett LLC, Ida Shah manager, seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit, unit number 1 and unit 2, and a courtesy permit, unit number 3 at 36 Everett.
Yes, Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for 36 Everett LLC of 36 Everett Avenue. My client is seeking preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3. The property was purchased vacant by the applicant in February of 2024, and it has remained vacant since then. We have submitted the application along with a paid final water bill, certificate of good standing, and a bank check payable to the city of Somerville for $1,200. I also wanted to make a quick correction to the application, which I already spoke to Marina about. The applicant was led to believe that the former owner, we had that in the application, but the former owner only occupied 1 unit. The other unit was used for rental purposes. However, as I mentioned, the current owner purchased the property vacant in 2024 in February and kept it vacant for over a year, so there's no former tenant information to report. Thank you.
Okay, and then at this time, I'm going to open it up for board comment. Are there comments or questions for Attorney Shan? Seeing no comments or questions, I'm going to close this section of the meeting and open it up to the public comment.
I don't see any hands.
I'm going to close the public section. And so this is now a vote on 36 Everett Avenue, application of 36 Everett LLC, Shah manager seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit at 1 and unit 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 at 36 Everett.
Okay, this is a vote for a preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 at 36 Everett Ave. Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Too. And that's the end of our meeting, folks. Good job, everybody.
Oh, wow.
Good job. Good job, Vice Chair / Chair Byrne. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, can I
Good job, yeah.
can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
You get it.
You got it? Can I get a second on that?
I'll second
All right.
that.
Let's have a vote. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good
All right,
night.
see you then.
Thank you
night.
Bye-bye.
all.
Thanks, everyone.
Rena, I mean it, you don't get paid enough.
I second that.
Tell my bosses.
Yes, that's true.
All right. Good night,
All right,
everybody.
see you
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.